As the Co-op Bros, it's our job to bring you as many co-op focused reviews as possible, and last year was our best year yet. We reviewed a total of 20 games last year, and many were new releases for the year 2021. So for the first time in our 3-year history, we feel pretty confident we can tell you what were the top co-op titles of last year. We're going to set the ground rules first so you know what we're thinking. For one, the game had to come out in 2021, I mean, that just makes sense. We didn't do re-releases, so a game like Super Mario 3D World didn't really have a chance. We also missed out on a couple notable titles like Valheim, which is probably the only one that would have made this list anyway. And like we always say, this is our opinion, so please keep that in mind. Now, let's get into it, our top 5 co-op games of 2021. So this 5th spot was arguably the toughest to land on. Whoever doesn't make it here doesn't make it anywhere. So we went with Keywey. Yes, the tiny puzzle game from Stoneweed & Sons, an equally tiny developer. But man, does this game punch above its weight. The co-op feels so perfectly fine-tuned. It makes it stand out in a genre full of co-op games that go for chaos over cooperation. Communication during Keywey comes naturally and never feels like an overwhelmingly frustrating challenge.
3, 2, 1.
Yeah.
3, 2, 1.
We're getting stopped!
3, 2, 1.
That's not to say the game is easy though. It actually balances its difficulty and mechanics very well. We enjoyed our time playing through this, save for a couple tedious levels, which is a testament to a team making their very first game. We were wowed by the polish they pulled off with this game. Seriously, don't overlook Keywey, it's a really good time. In our review of Tribes of Midgard, we said it was one of the most unique co-op games we've ever played, and we still stand by that. It brings together so many different genres and ideas into a really cohesive package you can play with up to 10 friends. Co-op in Tribes incentivizes everyone to play a role and contribute to the group. In the case of our group, we had someone focus on getting quests done while others were nomads uncovering the map. Success hinges on these activities as no one person can get them all done, but they must be done in a timely manner as the game gets progressively harder. So Tribes becomes this giant group puzzle they have to figure out together through trial and error, and it was so satisfying once we did.
She's almost there. She's dead.
We got her.
Yeah!
And a giant destroyed. Let's go.
Let's go.
Ooh. Let's go.
It helps that the RPG systems in this game are excellent. You have a decent amount of build variety between the different weapons, armor, and class choice of course. And with the new seasonal update, it seems like even our few minor gripes of the game have been ironed out. And yeah, we'll be jumping back in very soon. Everyone loves a good redemption story, and Outriders is one for the books. This is a game we had been watching for years leading up to release, and we were really disappointed to see it come out in such a bad state. But the developers at People Can Fly stuck to their guns, put their heads down, and came out the other side with an awesome co-op experience. We haven't released a review for this one yet, but trust us, it's gonna be very positive. Outriders' strength is just how easily it meshes all of his skills and class abilities into a cooperative team-based shooter. There isn't really a need for communication in half of our battles because our abilities, yeah, they just work so well together.
I'm gonna go teleport to you. Haha! Get ready! Yee!
I'm coming too, bro.
Oh my god, you just shattered these guys' bones! Did you see
That
that?
was awesome, dude.
Oh my god.
You can tell they took the time to make sure every ability felt viable and complemented other classes. This game has been an absolute blast from beginning to end, and we're totally okay with sticking around to take on the challenging expeditions and some of the endgame. If you overlooked Outriders at release, yeah, it's officially time to reconsider. Monster Hunter Rise was one of our most anticipated games of the year. Coming off the high we experienced with World a few years prior. And we're happy to say that Rise delivers on every front, especially on the co-op gameplay. It streamlined World's convoluted quest board and created a lobby system that makes playing with friends easier than ever. We had a blast playing this with a full hunting party, which doesn't make it any easier if that's what you're thinking. That first Magnum Alpha fight kicked our 4 behinds, but conquering it as a group was well worth it.
Oh, hello.
Wow.
Hey!
Yay!
I swear to God, he was about to get up and just kill me.
The Monster Hunter series, it isn't the kind of co-op game where you can set up combo moves or use team abilities. Instead, the co-op thrives in overcoming a massive challenge together. Each fight is a big battle of endurance. You'll tag in and tag out when someone needs to go heal, or you'll all come together after a successful knockdown attack and put a beating on that monster. And you'll do that over the course of several amazing monster fights. We have nothing but praise for Monster Hunter Rise. It is without a doubt one of the best co-op games you can play on Switch. As we mentioned earlier, that 5th spot was a really tight competition to decide on. So here's our honorable mentions for games that missed their shot on our list. The Ascent is a great co-op game that is sadly too glitchy for us to give top honors. Had this game just worked as advertised, it would easily have a spot here, but until then, it has to take a seat on the sidelines. Back 4 Blood gave us a similar experience due to not being properly balanced at launch. It has a ton of thoughtful co-op mechanics ready to go, but in our playthrough, it was those issues that got in the way of what could be a great co-op game. Alien's Fireteam Elite was a really fun horde shooter that is overly simplistic in almost all the right ways, but we found its class system just not as well tuned as many of the other games that did make this list. And finally, WarioWare Get It Together was an excellent WarioWare game, and surprisingly an excellent co-op game, but it just barely lost out to Keywey, which is very innovative. It still deserves some praise, so I'm glad we're mentioning it here. Aside from Valheim, we also want to give a shout out to some games we just couldn't fit in our tight review schedule. Games like Far Cry 6, Origami 2, and Second Extinction were games that we wanted to review but couldn't get to, and hopefully we will in this year. And finally, a very special shout out to Dungeons & Dragons Dark Alliance for being so bad at launch, we never even bothered playing it. Yeah, that one hurt. So yeah, our number 1 pick shouldn't surprise anyone. Coming off his big win at the Game Awards, there's been a lot of discourse around It Takes Two, and for good reason. But we think a few outlets mentioned just how innovative it is. Yes, It Takes Two is an excellent co-op game, but it really raises the bar for what a co-op game can be. A lot of co-op games struggle with balancing narrative and gameplay, but It Takes Two shows that you can have a game where both players play a role, rather than it just being one player's story. In a way, Hazelight has created their own pseudo-genre with It Takes Two, a game that you can't neatly pin to any one category. The sheer amount of different gameplay mechanics you go through in this game is too many for us to count. Each chapter offers its own simple set of tools that challenge you to think outside the box together. One chapter saw us armed with a hammer and nail to traverse the attic, while the next had us facing off against bees using sap and a flamethrower. Yeah, that was awesome.
I'm seeing that.
Dang it, there's another group. Okay, here we go, dude.
Yeah, I think you're open.
Train is trying to go.
Oh shoot! No! I'm good.
Train trying to get it. Yeah.
Those same tools are used in increasingly creative ways you're never even thought of. And that's what we mean by innovative. It Takes Two is constantly asking you to knock your heads together and think of things from a different angle. It's constantly throwing new puzzles, new gameplay, and new mechanics your way. It's a game that made us feel like kids again. And for that and many other reasons, it's our number 1 co-op game of 2021. And there you have it, our 100% accurate and of course totally unbiased opinion of the top 5 co-op games of 2021. But seriously, each of these 5 games are wholly unique, which means there's bound to be a co-op game in here for you and your friends. And speaking of friends, we're really grateful for our team, and we want to thank Jake, Christian, Garrett, Gabriel, and Daniel for helping us beat several games this past year. We couldn't have reviewed so many games without the help from those guys, and it's honestly really cool to see our Co-op Bros team grow so much this past year. As always, thanks for watching, guys. I was on my own with this one, as Andrew deserves a big break after editing our huge year in gaming video. And even though we're a couple days into 2022, I know we've missed out on some games from last year. So hopefully this list helps you catch up on any co-op titles you missed out on too. We're gonna keep doing our best to bring you engaging and helpful co-op reviews, so keep sharing us with your friends, please. We're always looking for recommendations too, so if we miss out on some of your favorite co-op titles for the year, feel free to mention them below. We'll see you next time on our next episode of The Co-op Bros.